Applejack's Parents by Terminal Velocity. Let's begin. Emerald Eyes. Dad? Mom? Yes, Honey Blossom? A deep breath. I'm moving to Canterlot. Silence. You're okay with that, right? Yes, of course. We just didn't expect it so soon. A deep silence filled with emotions. Never forget your heritage, honey. We are oranges. I know. Goodbye, Honey Blossom. Goodbye, Mom, Dad. The glorious towers and impossible balancing act that is Canterlot proudly stood above Honey Blossom's head. Her honey-colored freckled face looked upward, trying to take a picture of all of Canterlot in that one moment with her sky-blue eyes. The sun was setting, painting the sky with the differing hues of yellow and orange that made up her mane and tail. Pushing through the crowded train car to the station platform, Honey stepped out into the fading sunlight. She began to walk towards the ornate giant gate doors, then blinked. How would she find the way to her apartment? Doing a quick turnabout, Honey quickly bought a cheap map and continued her walk towards the brilliant city. Her first steps into Canterlot took her breath away. It was everything Honey had imagined. The promise of a new life seemed to whisper from the very buildings. Haughty ponies walked through the city, their noses impossibly high in the air. This didn't bother Honey Blossom, however. She had been around these types of ponies all her life, along with the worst of what pony society could offer. Manhattan was beautiful, dangerous that way. A quick wave of nostalgia washed over Honey, but it quickly passed. A new life! She walked forward, ready to start. Stupid map! The sun had long since set, taking the light with it. As Canterlot tried its best to be respectful to Luna's night, there were no street lamps, meaning that Honey had a very good chance of reading the map wrong. Honey squinted at the surrounding buildings, finally taking notice that she seemed to be in the tarnished part of Canterlot's shining medallion of being perfect. Shady ponies stalked the street corners, causing the hair on the back of her neck to rise. Eyes stared at her from alleyways. She shivered and moved more quickly. Hey, sweetie! Sweat began to bead on Honey's head, despite the cool night. I was talking to ya. She turned quickly to see a purple stallion stalk out of the shadows. Yes, what do you want? How about that flank? No, leave me alone before I call the guards. That almost always worked in Manhattan. Most delinquents generally stop then. Yes, the guards wouldn't question a handsome stallion and his mare having a mite of fun in a... Perhaps you didn't hear correctly. I said no, and that's final. She turned around and began to stride off, trying to confidently ignore him. The stallion stepped in front of Honey. Perhaps you didn't hear correctly, sweetie. I said yes, and that's final. He grinned and lunged towards her, grabbing her hoof so tightly she yelped in pain and fright. Suddenly, from out of an alleyway, a green blur smashed into the purple pervert. She said no, the blur yelled, sending the purple stallion into the wall of one of the surrounding buildings. The purple stallion whimpered and ran. The green blur turned out to be a huge green stallion with messy dark yellow hair and a scruffy beard of the same color. He walked back to Honey and looked down at her with emerald green eyes. Honey put on a defensive posture. Listen, my patience have been sorely tried tonight. I'm lost and tired, and I met one of the most perverted ponies in all of Equestria. Either you will leave me alone and go on your way, or I will call the guards. He chuckled and bowed low, taking off a hat that she just now noticed. Howdy, miss. Instead of me getting arrested and you just staying lost, Why not I help you find your way to your home? And why would I do that? Then you would know where I live, and I don't know you. For all I know, you could just be like that other fellow. He leaned back, a hurt look on his face. I would never be like that stallion. That stallion was mean and rotten to the core. I'm willing to take you to your house. Just let me. In the future, Honey Blossom would never know what convinced her to trust this strange stallion who appeared in the night. Okay, Mr. Night Stallion, my apartment is on 130th Riverview Avenue. He began to walk down the street, beckoning her to join him. He whistled long and low. You sure got yourself turned round. That's at least 30 minutes from here. Well, that's just great, she sighed angrily. I suppose I should tell you my name. I'm Honey Blossom. You? Call me Harlson Apple. A slightly awkward silence. You're not from Canterlot, are you? Honey glanced up at him, startled. How did you know that? Only some pony who's never been here before can get as turned around as you. Harlson's eyes contained some mirth in them. Oh, hush you. Don't pretend you're from here either. Honey lightly slugged Harlson in the side. And you knew that how? You have the air and accent of a farmer, not one of those snooty ponies. Harlson slightly chuckled. Right on one. Am from Ponyville. A beautiful little town full of love and friendship. Not to mention the best darn apple farm there ever was. You might have to show me sometime, Honey said, keeping her eyes ahead. Yeah, I will, Harlson said, and looked down and smiled, his emerald eyes glistening in the moonlight. We're here, a hint of sadness. Already? Honey sighed. Stay in touch, all right? Harlson said. I will. Goodbye, Mr. Night Stallion. Before Honey could go inside, however, Harlson ran up to her and whispered in her ear, Sweet Apple Acres. What? She turned around, only to see a quick wink from those emerald eyes, and Harlson Apple melted back into the shadows. Author's note. Yes, I know there are street lamps in the show. No, I don't care. I know this is crappy. I'm really tired. Why am I awake? Gah! That was Applejack's Parents by Terminal Velocity. It was quite enjoyable. Until next time, enjoy.